Okay. Hi guys. I am gonna be sharing about my rotation one level two fieldwork project. So the setting that I was at, I was in an elementary school, two elementary schools actually, in the Topeka 501 school district. So I was working in pediatrics, and the age range for the students that I was seeing was about 3 to 11. It was preschool through fifth grade. And I saw all different types of diagnoses there, ranging from something as simple as a developmental delay, to autism. There was cortical vision impairments, and kind of everything under the sun. And we were also in, again, preschool, so PIP classrooms and IIC classrooms, which is individualized instruction classrooms. So my project, these were my project requirements. So my project was to select a unit from the preschool curriculum, and kind of not build a lesson, but build a bunch of instructional tools to go along with that lesson. So step one was select preschool curriculum unit, and then familiarize myself with that as well, and then consult with the speech language pathologist regarding words and concepts to incorporate during their sessions, and then prepare pre-writing activities that they can do in group with the smartboard, and then also prepare sensory bins and lead a sensory motor group with it, and then follow up with the um, early childhood special education teacher and fieldwork supervisors about what went well and what we can change. So the unit that I chose to make my project over was animals. And so it was 18 days, and then the design map for it included all of these down below, but I stuck with number 3, writing. So the skills that are taught with writing in preschool is how to cut lines, pre-writing strokes, form letters, create directed drawings, and then using sentence frames, drawing illustrations, labeling illustrations, dictating sentences, and creating shared writing tasks. So for part of my project, I had to consult with the speech language pathologist for that classroom. And so I did that, and her um, advice was to include this is what's called a pod book. And then using their core words, like verbs, questions, social words, and then timing and sequencing words. And so the pre-writing activities, I made all of these on Canva. So the first one is just matching the animal to its baby to focus on the pre-writing strokes, horizontal and diagonal strokes, and then also matching. And then the second one is look, find, and circle. So again, working on another pre-writing stroke circle as well as matching, and learning the names of the animals. And then I made some visual motor pathways as well. So um I these are the vertical ones, and I graded them 3 different times. So straight line down is the easiest, one curve, and then 2 curves, and then same thing for horizontal, graded the same way. And then the diagonal ones as well, I only did 2, so just straight line down both ways. And then for the sensory bins, I ended up doing 4 different sensory bins, because for the unit, they read books, and one of the books had to do with animals and their habitats. So I thought that it would be a fun idea to make 4 different habitats into a sensory bin. So my first one was kind of a grassy habitat. So the items in it: Easter grass, hay, rolled oats, chia seeds, flax seeds, and then also a laminated picture of some of the animals you can find in there. So cow, sheep, fox, horse, and bear. And then I also added tools for an extra component. So there was a funnel, a scooper, and some tongs in there. Um, the second habitat was the desert. So the items in there were sand, red kidney beans, brown rice, and then pictures of a lion, zebra, and camel. And then again, funnel, scooper, sifter, and a shovel were the tools in that one. Snow, I liked this one a lot because it was also able to incorporate with the coconut shavings, kind of a um smell to it. So there was coconut shavings, lima beans, white rice. I cut up some coffee filters and then put some cotton balls in there as well, and then a picture of a polar bear and a moose. And the tools were tongs and the scoopers. And then the last habitat was water. So for this one, I did water, tapioca pearls, plastic seashells, and then a rubber duck, frog, and octopus bath toy. And then it also had pictures of dolphin, seal, and a whale. And the tools were funnels, scoopers, and pipettes. For the sensory bins, I really tried my hardest to make everything as edible as possible because we were doing this with 3 and 4 year olds. So just trying to make it as safe as possible for them. And then for the sensory motor group, there's an AM group, a morning group, and an afternoon group. So for the morning group, it was kind of built into 3 smaller groups. So the kids would catch a balloon, hit a balloon, keep the balloon in the air, and then kick the balloon. And then we were just addressing the skills gross motor, motor planning, proprioception, perceptual motor, and turn taking. And then the plan was to do the same thing for the PM group, but it didn't quite work out that way. So we kind of had to readjust on the fly. So we ended up playing Ring Around the Rosie to warm up and get used to moving in a circle before we all sat on the floor in a circle, and then passed the balloon to the left, passed it to the right, and then did different actions like touching your head with the balloon and passing it, touching your toes with the balloon and passing it, and then toss it up and catch it and pass it. And again, just addressing gross motor, motor planning, proprioception, perceptual motor, and postural endurance. Yeah, that was my project. Overall, I was pretty pleased with how it went. I thought everything went the way that I wanted to, other than the hiccup with the afternoon group. And yeah, the feedback from the audience was really good. The only thing that was really suggested was kind of keeping the sensory motor group more on theme with the animals. But yeah, that's my project.